Hello, my name's Louise. I'm the founder of Article 999, and this video is going to be a bit of a help guide slash sort of walkthrough on the CPD templates. So the current version is 1.5, which was published in August 2022, and I'm quite happy with this version. It sounds like a few of you are getting on with it quite well as well. I don't foresee any sort of major changes to it, but obviously if any do need to be made, then I will let you know and give you some help to reach the next version of it. So let's have a quick look on where to find these. If you go to the Article 999 website, along the top menu you can see CPD templates there. So if you click on that and then scroll down, there's a little bit of information here about the templates themselves. Little note that they were shared by the College of Paramedics in June 2022, which was very nice, and a bit more info on where to find the templates. So if you're post NQP period, then click here. If you are still an NQP, then click here. Don't worry, NQPs, you can continue to use the same portfolio when you finish your NQP period. They are essentially the same. You just have a little bit of kind of help text on what to maybe put into your reflections and things like that, and you also have the learning outcomes specific to East, but not endorsed by East, but other trusts, other paramedics working for other trusts can easily add their own learning outcomes or ask me to add them for you. So I'm going to show you the NQP portfolio. Again, if you are post your NQP portfolio, post your NQP period, don't worry, because you guys, your portfolio is basically the same. So if you click on the link, that will take you to Airtable. Now Airtable is a website that lets you create databases. You will need a free account for Airtable, and Airtable say the free accounts are not going anywhere, which is really reassuring to hear. So once you're at the Airtable link, you'll see more information and a bit of a preview on the template itself. All you need to do is click on the Use Template button, and then if you haven't already, make sure that you've got your own account. You can see here this is my account now. You'll get this prompt that says which workspace would you like to add this new base to. I just add it to sort of my main base there. Click on the Add Base button once you're ready. And let's show you inside this template. So CPD log version 1.5, you can see along the top there are some tables, and down the left hand side there are sort of tables within tables. These are split into for viewing and reviewing, not for printing, and more. The more part, it might say more collaborative views in your template, but it's exactly the same thing. Now let's have a look at the Add CPD here link. So if you click on that, you will see an editable form. Now what this means is that if NQPs you get fed up with the help text at some point, don't worry, you can just delete it all. One thing you can't do is add images to make it look nice. Unfortunately, that is a premium feature, and even I don't have that. If you click on the Open Form link, this will open in a new tab. And it's simply a way of adding all of the information to your CPD log. Take that link, save it, whether that's as a favourite or to your mobile phone, whatever you want to do. Once you have that link saved, you can access it from anywhere that you have an internet connection via a web browser. Scroll down and you can see all of the options for inputting data to your CPD log. So there's a brief title, there's a description, and it is rich text as well, which is quite nice. Date picker, CPD type and categories, standards 3 and 4, with little help text to tell you what they are. So just tag whether or not you've met them. The other HCP standards, you don't really need to be tagging for every single entry, because you should be meeting them by making your portfolio anyway. These ones though you might not meet per every single CPD entry. if you do submit to the HCPC, you will have to write a blurb on how you've met the standards anyway, so you will cover the other standards at that point. But these are the two that you need to really worry about. Reflection is based on what, so what, and now what, which is a nice simple one. You will notice if you type in the what field, the so what and now what expand. NQPs, you have got a lot more help text in terms of your reflection there, which I mentioned earlier. Attachment wise, if you've got evidence, certificates, feedback and so on that you want to upload, this is the place to do it. You can drag and drop the file or click the attach file button there. Page number wise, I wouldn't worry about this for now, you can simply ignore it. I've added that in there in case when you come to submit, especially if you're submitting by paper, you want to have an sort of A4 attachment added to the back of your portfolio of your evidence. So you might then have a list of sort of thumbnails, which I'll show you later, of your actual evidence, but the ones that you want to feature you might want to refer to by page number specifically. So leave this bit for now until you actually come to submit, and then come back to it, pick which evidence you want to submit, because you do not need to submit all of it, and put a page number in there. NQP learning outcomes. So obviously if you're post NQP period, this won't be on your template. If you are going from NQP to post NQP, you can take this out or just ignore it. If you are currently in NQP, what you can do is tag your learning outcomes to your specific CPD entry, and you can do that by searching, as I'm demonstrating here, by scrolling down, by clicking on the specific one and then viewing it in larger, and then sort of crossing out any that you don't want. You will notice they do cut off because they are quite long, which is why I quite like searching. I think that's easier anyway because there are quite a lot. And again, when you click on each one, you'll see it in full anyway. There is another way of checking your NQP learning outcomes without having it cut off, which I will show you soon. But in terms of logging everyday CPD, this is the easiest way of doing it. Next, let's have a look at the development goals. So these are optional, but I've added them in as a nice way of keeping track of things that you think you need to work on. A good one for NQPs is obviously fast tracking through the NQP pathway. And again, you just kind of click on whichever one is relevant and tag it to the specific CPD entry. I will show you how to add more to your development goals shortly when we look at the rest of the portfolio. So the hcpc standards of proficiency, I've painstakingly added all of the 2023 standards to here. And again, you can just tag, search, cross off any you don't want, exactly the same as the NQP learning outcomes. You can also add a reference, optional, but it might be nice for your reflections if you want to put any in here, and again it's rich text. Time spent is totally optional, we don't have to record this, but it might be nice to keep track of. Once you're happy, just press submit. This will be added to your CPD log, and then the form will you'll see a new one load after a few seconds, so if you do want to add multiple entries, that might be a good way of doing it. Okay, that's it. So we're going to go on now to looking at the portfolio in more detail. So if this is going to be too much information, all I would say is stop here. You can start logging your CPD with everything that you know up to this point, and then you can come back another time and look at printing, look at adding development goals, look at changing things and things like that later. If you do want to carry on, then come back into the main part of the database. So again, CPD log version 1.5, you have for viewing and reviewing, not for printing, and you have the more section here. So let's have a look at the CPD log tab. Hover over, you'll get a little bit more information on it. Have a look inside it, and you can see you've got name, description, date, CPD types, and categories. Standards 3 and 4. your development goals, and a yes or no as to whether or not you've attached any evidence as well. Okay, so click on the title here. You can click on print view. Check the settings because Airtable likes to put everything into the letter format. Select A4 and then match my settings. So I've got it in landscape, actual size, small, and all of these additional options in green are actually turned on as well. But have a play with it. It might print a little bit differently on your computer. Make sure that it's printing nicely. Remember, this isn't just a way of printing to paper, it's also a way of exporting to PDF as well. Once you're happy, press the print button and you'll see a print preview pop up. Okay, so you can see on my computer here it all looks quite nice. They're numbered, the name, the description, the date, the type and categories are in there, whether or not the entries meeting standards 3 and 4, my development goals, and whether or not there's any evidence attached is also there. Change your destination from a printer to save as PDF and you'll be able to export this into a PDF file to backup or to upload, to submit, whatever you need to do with it. Okay, let's come out of that and come out of that as well. So obviously here it just says yes or no for evidence. So you need to come across to the evidence list table to actually find the entries where you've uploaded attachments. And in this table you can see a name and a date, CPD type and categories, and a thumbnail of whatever attachment you've uploaded. Page number is there, but it is optional. Click on the little hidden fields tab, scroll down and hide that particular column if you don't want it. This looks quite nice when you have a lot of evidence. Mine looks like a nice long list with all of my certificates attached. And this is how it prints. So again, just the basic details and a thumbnail of the certificate or whatever it is that you've chosen to upload. Think of it as a contents page for your evidence, and the ones that you really want them to see you'll put in as additional attachments in sort of A4 size. This CPD log table essentially references your evidence list. So think of this as pages 1 to whatever. Whoever's looking at your portfolio will check if evidence is attached and will then go to your evidence list section and see that you have evidence that relates to that CPD entry. One nice thing you can do with all of this here, once you've got lots of certificates on here, say you're writing your CV or you need to attach evidence certificates to job applications, you can actually then search for that specific piece of evidence, that specific certificate, find it, click on the image and re-download it, download it, send it, email it, whatever you need to do. It's a really nice way of keeping everything organised in terms of your qualifications as well. So we're going to come across here to the reflections table, and you can see again basic details and then your actual reflections. I don't recommend printing this table. What I recommend doing instead is clicking on the extensions tab on the right hand side. You can see it says print reflections here, and if we click on this little play button, basically what you have here is a one-page view of the reflective entries. So if you only tend to write a sentence or so under what, so what, now what, you are going to have a lot of blank space. If you tend to write about a paragraph or so for each, it should print quite nicely in A4 with one reflective entry per page. And again, as with your evidence, your basic CPD detail table will reference whether or not there's any reflections, or you just have this as an attachment at the end. see what you think of it. You can play around with the settings. Airtable isn't the world's best at printing, so it has taken me quite a lot of playing to get it like this, and to get it to kind of work. This is the reason there is a word count for your reflective entries, and I'll show you that in a minute. If you do want to try and add some colour, obviously you could do that as well. Okay, so we're now going to come across to the viewing and reviewing, not printing. So as I said, there is a word count for reflections. So before you print or submit anything, come over to the check all fields table, scroll across. This shows you all of the tables, all of the cells within your database. So come across and have a look at the word count for your so what, now what fields, and for your what field as well, actually. Check if you have a green or a red. If it's red, it will say over limit. If it's green, it will say under limit. You can expand the particular record to see all of the information contained within that CPD entry. And you can then see the word count as you're typing. So if you need to take some words out, then you can reduce your word count. If you wanted to add words up to your limit, then you could continue typing until that under limit changes to an over limit. If it's only a few words you need to delete, then this might be a really nice way of doing it. But if you have an essay length reflection, you might find it's actually better to delete your reflective entry from here and upload it as an attachment instead. The printing of reflections from here I think is nice if you meet the word count, and you can see the word count here in characters. It's 1138, so it's reasonably long, but it's not essay length. So if you do want to add those longer ones, add them separately. Keep all the detail as evidence instead of as reflective entries that you've entered directly into here. The next one here shows you exactly the same table, in that it's got all of the details in there, but it's only within a specific date range. So you can see this green tab here is showing in bright green, and you can see it says where date is after the 15th of September 21 and before the 30th of September 2023. So as you know, if you submit to the HCPC, we usually have to submit within a 2-year period. This table is just here to show you how to do that. So you probably won't use this table, but it is there as a reference point. This is where you find the filter. This is the information you need to enter if you want to filter your CPD before you print it. You can then come across to the tables you're going to print, go to that filter and either add the conditions manually or click copy from another view. Select the view, which is the date range one, and copy it across, and then repeat that for every table you want to print. If you need any help with this, then just let me know, and I'll be happy to help you. It's a really simple thing, but it just sort of takes a minute or two to actually know where all the buttons are. Okay, so the next thing is calendar. This is a nice way of checking how often you've been doing your CPD and making sure that you haven't left a gap of 3 months or more with no explanation. So just scroll through and see where your entries are, basically. Okay, so that's everything for this particular table. Now the stuff along the top here is things that we've already discussed, but we're going to look at them in a little bit more detail now. So for NQPs, your learning outcomes, again East ones, are listed here. You'll notice they're not included in your basic CPD log. So one thing that you will have to do is print your NQP learning outcomes separately. And that's by coming across to this table, checking that all of the information is there, checking this met column on the right hand side to see that you've actually met the NQP learning outcomes. And I do recommend scrolling down, checking the number, checking the outcome number, just making sure that nothing has changed in terms of the trust specific portfolio, making sure that you have all of the learning outcomes listed in here. I don't want to be responsible for missing any, so although I have added them, I'm not an NQP myself, and I'd always recommend checking your own trust portfolio. If you do need any to be edited, you can either click on them and manually edit them yourself or delete them, or you can ask me to do it for you. And if you're not an East paramedic, then find your NQP learning outcomes. If they are different, just contact me and I can put them in your portfolio for you. This MET column shows the title of the CPD entry that relates to this specific learning outcome. So it's a nice way of scrolling down. If you imagine it nice and filled with maybe 1 or 2 empty, then it's a nice way of spotting which ones you haven't met. Or if you've met one learning outcome with lots of different CPD entries versus meeting one learning outcome with the same CPD entry, if that makes sense. Meeting, say, meeting multiple learning outcomes with the same CPD entry. It's just a way of kind of keeping track. Once you've done all of your checking, you can come across and print it. And to print it, it's exactly the same as printing the other tables. So you just click on the title and you click on the print view. Check that it's printed the way you want it to print. And you can see here you've got a nice list with the title of the CPD entry. So effectively this table would reference your basic detail table with all of your CPD. It also means it's nice and easy once you finish your NQP period, you just stop printing it. Coming across to the development goals, I have a simple list on here of the goal, the date created or started, date completed, reasoning and uploads, which we'll go through now. The date created and completed is quite good for NQPs if you want to add a nice date for when you finish your pathway. Reasoning is quite good if, for example, someone's given you feedback and on say a clinical goal, clinical skill that you need to work on. If any written feedback is related to that, you might want to upload it as well. Another thing you can do is tag in progress, completed, or to do to keep track of your goals. And in terms of printing, it's exactly the same as with the other tables. In terms of adding new ones, it works like an Excel spreadsheet, so just add a new row at the bottom and type in whatever details you want. Coming across to the skill log, this is up to you how you use it or whether you use it. You might want to record things like airway skills and simulated IOs in here, or actual IOs as well. Put a date in, add any notes that you want. If you've done a skill that isn't in here, just type it in the list and you'll be able to add that in as well. There is a calendar, which is a nice way of keeping track of when you've done skills, so feel free to utilise that as well. And again, you can print and attach this in exactly the same way as the other tables. So I'm coming across quickly now to the hcpc standards. We are getting very near the end. So I have painstakingly added all of the hcpc standards of proficiency 2023. Feel free to check these as well. You can tag them with achieving and not achieving, as they are quite new to us, or some of them are new to us. Obviously, probably don't submit your portfolio with something that says not achieving, but it is a good way of you keeping track of when you are achieving, and having everything in green will just look quite nice. You can see this column on the right hand side that says CPD log. This references the title of the CPD entry. So scroll down and you can see how many you have matched with a CPD entry. You can press the plus button and view your CPD entries directly from here if you want to add or tag that way. So rather than tagging them as you go along through your form that I showed you at the very start, you can simply come to this table, find the standard that you want to sort of provide evidence for, click on the plus button here, find a CPD entry that you think relates to this standard and tag it. And you can do the same with the NQP learning outcomes. So say there's one or two that you've left blank, that you've missed, rather than trying to add it from the other table, add it directly from here instead. Search for a record that matches or is kind of related to this particular standard, this particular learning outcome, and use it as you see fit, really. And that is everything. So remember, you have also got a OneNote help file which is available from the website as well, which gives you more information about what the HCPC have said that they want. The HCPC are aware of this portfolio, this kind of template, but they don't endorse and they don't suggest a specific format. Still, I believe it does meet all of the outcomes that we're supposed to meet for our CPD and for submissions. The College of Paramedics are also aware of this CPD template and have shared it, as I mentioned at the start. I'm also aware that a few of you are testing it out and getting on quite well with it. Hopefully I'll start getting some more feedback from people who are using it, and just let me know how you get on, really. One last thing for you, and I'm just coming into my portfolio to show you, this is something extra you can do, visual data. So you can have a count of the sort of evidence that you're meeting, the standards you're meeting. You can have bar charts in here as well, which I'll show you now, for your CPD types and categories, and for your development goals too. It doesn't really print in colour, but you can try and export it as a PDF. This isn't something I can add to the template at the moment, but it is something I can help you to set up on your own portfolio if you'd like it. And on that note, just to mention the support that's available. So if you are using an old version that's prior to 1.5 and you'd like some help to get it up to the newer version, let me know, send me a screenshot of what you've got, and I will help you to get that set up on your portfolio for free, and help you to kind of learn how to use it as well. If you want some support in terms of changing the NQP learning outcomes to either new versions of portfolios as they come out or to your trust specific portfolio, I will also do that for free. And if you do want any Teams support to learn how to use these templates, then let me know. It will be an unlimited amount, but only a certain number will get it for free, and I can let you know a little bit more about that. It will be a one-off cost down the line, which is very small and much smaller than other things that exist. So most of it is pretty free and pretty unlimited as well. Thanks very much. Hopefully it hasn't taken up too much of your time, and hopefully it was useful for you.